Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. Peace Talks, written by Echoing Cascade. General Rain was an incompetent coward. The problem was that as far as everyone else was concerned, he was a genuine hero. Rain. I reached the exalted rank of general by sheer luck, hiding when running was not an option, and had gotten credit for several miraculous victories by virtue of being the only officer alive when the dust settled. Rain mused on his glorious career, which was thankfully coming to an end. The diplomats had finally managed to convince the religious Thormic that they couldn't win a war against Earth and its allies, that while they may be immortal gods, their soldiers were but flesh and bone. He sighed wearily. All right, just one more diplomatic meeting and this whole sorry affair will be over. Gods, give me strength. Make me stone so my enemies may break and shatter as we clash. His silent prayer finished. He entered the meeting room in a large prefabricated house built on neutral ground. The meeting had been a trap. The retinue of the Thormic gods had brought with them were filled with organic explosives and had blown themselves up alongside the bulk of the security personnel. The Thormic honor guard then killed anyone who might fight back that had survived. Rain was now clad in chains, presented in front of the Thormic gods. The filming crew that was present for the peace talks had been forced at gunpoint to broadcast the scene. The father, leader of the Thormic, approached him and slapped him across the face. "You vile heretic!" Rain tanked the hit without a problem, and with the best devil-may-care grin he could fake. "All right, don't crap your pants and keep eye contact. There are cameras watching you," the general reminded himself. "I believe your grace hasn't grasped the idea of peace talks. Would you like me to explain it to your head priest?" He looked around the room and spotted what was left of the exploded Thormic priest and nodded in his direction. "Though he looks to be a bit indisposed at the moment. No matter, I have nothing else to do. I can wait." The father didn't smile and gestured at the camera crew to make a close-up of the general. "Say what you want, mortal. Soon your death will be broadcast all over the sector, and your soldiers will break." Rain was perplexed, and for a moment the sheer stupidity of the statement overtook his focus on survival. "I'm sorry, you think my death would break the army's morale and bring you victory?" Father nodded and smiled. "Without your leadership, your soldiers will wither and die." Rain was by no stretch of the imagination patriotic. He had joined the army because it seemed like a good idea at the time, and because the notion of war with other species was laughable. But even he found the slight on the Terran army insulting. Rain. "My soldiers will wither and die. My soldiers will rage. If you are gods, then every one of my soldiers is a pantheon. You will burn!" He was quite shocked at his own outburst, not certain where that had come from. A few minutes passed in stunned silence. The father eventually rallied and approached the general, who had begun to blink rapidly in what he assumed was distress. "No, mortal. It is you who shall burn." He snapped his fingers, and one of his guards gave him a handheld flamethrower. He was taking aim when a strange sound stopped his movements. "What is that?" "You're right, today I burn." "What is the meaning of this?" "I brought the flames." The general closed his eyes, certain his number was finally up as the bomber began its run. He was calm and serene. The notion that it was finally over brought him more peace of mind than would have thought possible. "Gods, give me strength. Make me a stone so my enemies may break and shatter as we clash." Then the nuclear explosion obliterated the building. The decapitating strike had been ruled out by High Command. Killing the Thormic god would be too destabilizing for their society, they claimed. But as the general blinked, "Nuke them! Frack their religion!" Colonel Miriam, who had responded to the attack on the peace talks, chose to honor Rain's final orders. The death of their gods brought chaos to the Thormac theocracy, as was expected, but it did bring closure to the war. The Thormac people, having seen their gods die live on HoloNet, abandoned their religion in surprisingly quick order. In the fullness of time, a new religion, the Order of Stone, rose amongst the Thormac. It was built around a single, well-known prayer. Gods, give me strength, make me a stone, so my enemies may break and shatter as we clash. End of story. Story number 2. Human, what is this luck you speak of? Written by Random 3X. Greeble walked into the control room and noticed that Human Keith was displaying signs of emotional distress that he had learned to recognize at the Working with Dirtling seminar. Being the representative of the interspecies relations, Greeble felt it necessary to approach Human Keith and offer assistance. "Is everything okay, Human Keith?" he asked. "Huh? Oh yeah, I'm alright. I'm just having a bad luck day," Keith replied with a shrug. "Ah, I understand it is. Apologies, Human Keith, but what is this luck, and how has it made your rotation negative?" Greeble asked, worried that it was some kind of parasite that he would have to report. Luck. Just lots of minor bad things that are happening. Clearly, I've used up my karma for the week," Keith replied with a light chuckle. Another new word. Karma and luck. These must be potent illnesses to flare up and infect a sentient's entire day. "Do you require a visit to the medical suite to have these karma and luck purged?" Greeble offered. "What? No. I think you misunderstood things. Luck isn't an illness, Greeble," Keith explained, raising his hands to stop the encroaching Greeble. How can I explain this?" Keith said, stroking his stubbled chin. I know. So today my battery died, so my alarm didn't go off. And then, when I was in a rush to get ready, I stubbed my little toe." Keith paused to ensure that Greeble was following. "Indeed. That seems most distressing," Greeble nodded. "Then, as I got to the hover car and flew here, I got hit by red lights at every single intersection. Finally, when I did get here, an executive had taken my parking spot, so I had to park a quad over and walk in, all the while hobbling on my hurt foot." Keith finished by taking a long sip of his cup of coffee. "I understand these are all events that have happened, Human Keith, but I fail to see how these are connected events related to this thing that you call luck," Greeble asked, now even more confused. "Well, luck is what we call the force that dictates these things are going to happen," Keith explained, looking up into Greeble's 3 eyes. "All negative events?" Greeble was now shocked. "Well, good stuff can also happen because of luck. Like Mike won the competition last month. That was lucky," Keith hastily explained, realizing that Greeble was becoming worried. "And humans observe this phenomenon?" Greeble asked, ensuring his translator unit didn't convey the growing terror in his true voice was radiating. "All the time," Keith said, with a shrug. "You also mentioned karma. Is this similar?" Greeble asked. "Kinda. It's more like you do good things and good things will happen to you. We, humans, equate that with getting positive luck, while bad luck is because of bad stuff that we must have done," Keith explained, taking another sip of his tea. Greeble was now terrified. The humans were famous for picking up on details often missed by other races. If this luck were real, then it would be a universe-shattering. Speaking of the degree of control not thought imaginable. For these beings to notice it must mean that they are far more intelligent than anyone could fathom. "Have there been studies into this luck?" Greeble asked, hoping to have sources to pull from. "Huh?" Keith said, confused. "Why would we study it? It's just probability and human pattern recognition," Keith explained with an arched brow. "Say again?" Greeble asked, now even more confused. "Humans' brains are built to notice patterns, like that stain on the window that looks like a face." Keith pointed to the smudge on the window with 3 dots. Greeble could have sworn that he heard a panicked scream when the human Keith did this. "When we were evolving, we noticed patterns, and the ones that kept focus and recognized the bad ones survived. So our brains are weirdly focused on remembering the bad events. We just attribute it to something nebulous like, luck, Keith explained. Like I'll remember today because of lots of minor inconveniences, but I'm not going to remember the day that I hit nothing but green lights and got to work on time, Keith said, giving the most apt example that he could think of. You have given me much to think about, Human Keith, Greeble said, with a nod as he walked back to his office. Hoping that Human Keith wasn't paying attention, he noted that humans have a para-universal abilities to see beyond reality. Sitting down, Greeble could only exhale. Humans were interesting and, at the same time, terrifying. It was no wonder there was a universal leave-them-alone order. End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members. Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Onholtz, White Van 420, Lord Asrakal, Arcadian, and Oakfield.